everybody. Welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Wednesday edition. We have actually a very special show today. For those of you who might have been following the social media post, which went up last second, I'm happy to post that we're actually doing a show today. The power was cut at my house again for some reason. They're installing something, so I was worried we wouldn't get it. But moments before the show, power came back on, and we will, of course, be doing the show. So hello, everybody out there. Brendan, no, clock is not slow. I was actually starting to come in late because we have technical issues, but thanks for putting me on the spot there, Mr. Wendell. Your show's tomorrow, buddy, so don't be trying to train wreck today's show. Brandon Wendell will be on with us tomorrow, guys. Here's our topic for today. Now, it's one that's near and dear to my heart because one of the beauties of trading as a profession is you can do it from anywhere in the world. And of course, that said, there's obviously problems with that. There's some limitations to what you can do, but I think most of us would agree that the freedom to do this from anywhere in the world that we want is a pretty enticing appeal. So today we're going to talk to somebody who is living that dream. Had the privilege of working with Kayla Christine for many years in Irvine, California. Now she's just a globetrotter traveling all over the world. The topic is the life of a global trader with Kayla Christine. Kayla, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Merlin.
Where pray tell, can we find you today? Where are you today?
I am currently in Barcelona, Spain, which is always my favorite place to be. I love to travel, but this is kind of what I consider home away from home.
I think you said it wrong. No one says Barcelona. It's Barcelona.
Excuse me. Yes, Barcelona. Exactly.
Yes. And, I think if some people might even appreciate it more because one of the main reasons she loves Barcelona is she wanted to get a degree in Spanish. Am I correct?
Yeah, I wanted to be a teacher before I became a trader. And so one of the two things I wanted to teach, I was thinking about teaching, was either math or Spanish. So I don't know that you can really learn a language until you move abroad. So that was definitely part of my decision to move, to travel, was to get in there, get immersed, and learn the language, and for adventure.
Nice. I love it. I'm going to start off by asking you a series of 3 questions, and it's really just designed to let people get an understanding of who you are, background, but this isn't the long-winded answer. We can dive deeper into it. But tell me real quickly, how long have you been trading? What instruments do you trade? And what would you say predominantly is your trading style?
Okay, so how long I've been trading? Well, I started as a student at Online Trading Academy, and that was, my first class was in 2012. I didn't really start trading until 2013. Or, kind of practicing that because it was my senior year of college, wanted to live that out. But anyway, so pretty much since 2013 is when I really got going with it. And I've traded mainly futures over the years. I still do that. But my focus lately has been in options. So, been meaning to get into options for a long time, and just in 2021, I was like, this is kind of my goal with options. And so I've actually spent more time on options than I have with futures lately, really all of 2021. And what was that other question?
What would you say is your trading style?
Yes, my trading style. So I started out trying to day trade, quick 5-minute, 2-minute charts. And that was, kind of a good way to get blown away as a beginning trader. So moved over to more of a swing trading style. And though I did kind of incorporate day trading, here and there, I think it's easier to understand the day trade once I get into swing trading. That's my opinion. So, would still do a lot of day trading, but swing trading just became a lot easier, less time consuming for me. And so now with options, the interesting thing is you would consider options, most people consider options more of a long-term play, but I've actually been more so day trading options. Or, maybe on a weekly basis, so I'll open up something on Monday that'll close on Friday. But for the most part, it's day trading options, which is exciting.
It's funny. It's like you've gone full circle. Starts off short-term day trading, moves to longer term because it's just a little more relaxing, and here you are now back in short-term trading options.
Right. I know. It's weird. So, but I mean, my ultimate goal is as little work as possible and as little stress as possible. So that's kind of why I love options right now, is it feels pretty stress-free.
I was talking to you before the show about that, and I got to give a shout out to Larry Jacobson. Larry Jacobson does a session Friday mornings is it the Mastermind Clubhouse, where he talks about kind of a short-term day trading strategy?
Yeah, he does. He talks about in the Clubhouse a short-term day trading strategy with options. And so, I mean, something that I learned through all this was that if you open up an options position that expires the same day, it's not considered a day trade. Of course, if you need to close the position for whatever reason, if it goes south, that would be a day trade. But, that has an impact for stocks, with the pattern day trading rule. So that makes it so you don't have to have as big of an account to start out with this. For somebody that you could have a $2,000 account and be doing this, which is pretty cool. So yes, Larry was a big reason why I got into that. And yeah, he has that.
Nice.
Usually on Friday mornings.
Cool. All right. So from a profile perspective, guys, trading since, we'll say 2012, really starting in 2013. So 8-9 years of trading experience. Trades futures and options seem to be her main focus now. And I think that's interesting because I certainly started off 100% equities, and all of a sudden it started to switch from equities into 50-50 equities futures. Then all of a sudden I was spreading it into equities futures Forex, and then it's equities futures Forex options. We start to evolve as we go. And I think part of that is it fits her situation. Her personality type doesn't want to really sit in front of your computer all day. So let me find specific setups I can do. And in the options world, we can do spread trades. If I'm not correct, that's what you're focusing on, because that's a question from Nick. He says, what strategy do you use on options trading?
Yeah, just vertical credit spreads, basically. An iron condor is the ideal, but yeah, just a bull put spread or a bear call spread. So it's pretty simple. I don't plan on leaving it there when it comes to options, but that's the focus right now. And until I feel like I've got that totally down, then I'll move into other option strategies.
We like it. Well, let's keep it on the topic here of the life of a global trader. For those who don't know, we got Kayla Christine joining us today. And from the perspective of a global trader, I have had the privilege, and I think this will be kind of fun, we can talk and compare stories of trading around the world. And it's funny, we have Brandon Wendell in here too, who has traded from around the world as well. Talk to me about some of the places that you've been to. So it's not just like, hey, I'm from the United States and I went over and I traded one day here. You've done a lot. So what are some of the places that you've been?
So my initial stop when I decided to move abroad, kind of temporarily, but not just a vacation, if you will, was Barcelona, in Spain. And so I started here, and my plan was really basically every other weekend to travel abroad. So with that, sometimes a Friday I would catch, having to trade in a different country, but for the most part, I was just in Spain. And to be totally honest, it really isn't that much different from what I was doing. I'm from Southern California, so trading there, the only difference was I didn't have to wake up at 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. I got to wake up at 10 and take a nice walk on the beach, and that was obviously really nice because I'm not a morning person. So yeah, coming over here, I mean, it really wasn't that much different. Mm-hmm. As long as you have internet, you're good.
Right.
From there, I've traded in, traveled to and then traded while I was there in England and London, as well as Italy, all over the place. I know you love Italy.
Ma che piacere, mi piace tantissimo Italia. There we go.
So Italy's the best. So Italy, actually it was better when I was trading and not out, eating pasta and pizza.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You got to walk it off. I mean, that's the thing. You eat all these heavy carbs, but then you're walking on the beach or walking all day, so it kind of balances out.
Right. Well, that's the goal, at least.
Right.
So Italy. I spent time in France, Portugal, Amsterdam, pretty much all over Europe.
Any favorites? Was there any favorite? It's funny because for me, and I don't want to make this about my exploits and travels, but it's like part of it for me was I've traded from all over the world, but there's some countries that all of a sudden I loved a lot more because I had like good winning trades there. Like I had some nice winning trades on the beach in Thailand. I was like, this is the greatest place on earth. Had I lost that day, I would be like, this place sucks. I'm not going back there.
I know. I remember thinking, like, for example, gold was like my favorite market when I started out because I had like a really good winning trade, one of my first like really good winning trades. So it's funny how we associate those things sometimes. I don't know if I have a favorite place to trade in terms of like I had a great winning trade there, so it holds a special place in my heart. So much as just I love to travel to. I love Italy. I mean, probably because I love to eat, but
I love your honesty.
When somebody thinks, especially from the U.S. of Italy, you think of culture and history and food. I think those are the three kind of big things: culture, history, and food. And it doesn't disappoint when you go there.
Nice.
All three are amazing, So that's my favorite. I would always probably choose to live in Barcelona. I love it here, but to travel too.
Awesome.
And you love Italy, I know that.
I love Italy, but I'm like you. I think that it's funny there's all these things they can take away from you. They can take away your money, your cars, your house, whatever you have, but they can't take away personal experiences. So my attitude and why I love having you on is you should be doing as much as possible to experience life, because the only thing that we know for sure is I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. It's guaranteed. I just don't know when. So let's pack as much in there as we can. Real quick comment I want to get to from Jerry. He says, is a laptop enough to become successful trader abroad or vacationing? I'll tell you this. It's not about the equipment that you have. Never mind, I could have gone on a tangent with that one. It's not about the equipment that you have. It's really about the strategy that you're using. So I've known people who have used cell phones and traded effectively while traveling. And it's all about having those rules in place that you follow. So don't think so much about the device at which you're connecting with. It's really more about the strategy that you have. And I would argue that it's also about the connectivity. Now, you know this, Kayla, traveling through Spain, you're in Barcelona. Bandwidth is probably sufficient there. But you start going out into, Figueras, Spain, or some of these little remote places, internet's going to be an issue. And that obviously is something you need to consider as a trader.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that a laptop is more than enough. I know in the past, a desktop computer was a little more, it was suggested more just because it had more power and all this stuff. But laptops are amazing. And you can trade on your phone. I mean, we have so much technology available to us. But I will say, I've even in the search for an Airbnb or a hotel or whatever, especially with Airbnb, sometimes I'd find Airbnbs that had no Wi-Fi, which was a foreign idea to me.
Right.
Because I never had thought that somebody would have an Airbnb without Wi-Fi.
Yeah. But
here's the fun things you learn about when you travel. So of course, I think that's probably the biggest thing, because it doesn't matter what phone you have or laptop you have. If you don't have internet, you can't do anything. On the flip side of that, if you have that's really all you need. Is we all have smartphones. They've got apps. So all these trading platforms have apps. So yeah, really an internet connection is all you need. If you feel dependent on two screens, I actually sometimes just all I carry with me is an HDMI cable. I mean, I know there's portable monitors and stuff that are real thin and stuff, but if you carry an HDMI cable, it can hook up to the TV in the Airbnb. I mean, I've used that a lot. So I don't find it hindering at all. Just trading with a laptop.
Absolutely. I didn't either when I was there. One story I will tell everybody, I was actually working for a pilot that was for a Italian telecommunications company. Telecom Italia was doing a commercial for their broadband, and they gave me a little, I don't know what you call them, the little device that you can connect to. What do you call them? An airdrop or whatever it was. Anyway, I was on a train coming from Ancona, Italy, going to Milan, and I was making some live trades. And you realize that trains go through tunnels. At the time, there was no connectivity in the tunnels. So all of a sudden, I'd have like 1,000 shares of some fast-moving stock on. And next thing you know, my computer just freezes up. It's one thing to consider when trading abroad, tunnels. We don't have a lot of those in the United States. Italy is chock full of those things. Ryan says, what's a VPN? And I'm going to echo this sentiment from Big Eb. One of the challenges here in trading remotely is some brokers will only allow you to connect from the U.S. So if you are international, they're going to go, wait a minute, you're technically, a Spanish citizen trying to connect to our brokerage. they'll cut off your connection. So a VPN is a virtual private connection. What that allows you to do is connect through a dedicated pipeline to the source. And with VPNs, you can quite often change where you're coming from. So it creates the illusion, even though you're in Barcelona, you could tell the VPN, hey, I'm coming from the United States, and get around any of those blocks that some brokerage firms might put on, as well as potential hacking issues, people coming in through, what is it, not denial of service. There's specific gateways they can come through and get into your computer. VPNs will prevent that. So I would agree, absolutely, if you're using a laptop and traveling, use a VPN when you connect as a trader. They're pretty cheap, $30-$40 a month.
You can find them real cheap.
Absolutely. And I think that it's all a cost of doing business. If you find that this is something that you want to do as a total vagabond, like Kayla is somewhat rooted in Barcelona but takes extended trips elsewhere. But if you're somebody like myself who just looks at the idea of taking a backpack with your laptop and just traveling around the world, without a doubt, get a VPN. Without a doubt.
Definitely.
Any other things for you that were kind of noteworthy? I know you said it's pretty much the same as trading. Were there any, I'm trying to think of other things that might have been a consideration, but actually let me just read these questions from Thomasina. Let's start with that. There's three questions from Thomasina. She says, which country or region has been the most challenging to trade from? Was there one place where you meant, I just having issues here, I'm not going to trade?
I honestly, the places that I would say I probably would have had issues, I just didn't even really bring my laptop and trade from. For example, right. Morocco. I just was like, I don't really feel like lugging my laptop around and being worried about that getting stolen or something.
Yeah, right.
That could happen anywhere. But but I did have just, let's say, internet issues in general there with my phone. So I can imagine that would have been even worse on my computer. So, and then, I've been to some more remote places. I've done like little road trips and whatnot. With those, when you're in a big city, it's most of the places you go to are going to have Wi-Fi. The bandwidth's going to be pretty good. If you go to these remote places, like you were saying earlier, Merlin, I've had some issues there. Even in just some hotels, I've actually that are in Rome or a bigger city, I've also had issues with that. So I would say if you want a more sure connection, big city or remote, I kind of think Airbnbs are better because it's like having a Wi-Fi in your home versus, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been my experience and what I would suggest.
Sure. And for me, I think that's wherever you are. So I'll give you an example. When I was in Thailand, I was in an island called Koh Phi Phi. It's a tiny little island. It's a party island. And my friends are at the local bar. And I ran and grabbed my laptop and I talked to the internet cafe, which is right on the beach. And I said, hey, can I connect wirelessly? And this is back in 2004? 2004, 2008, somewhere. I think it was 2008, right before the tsunami. And Wi-Fi still wasn't that established. And I remember hooking up, and I could see the connection wasn't that great. Now, normally I probably would have traded a couple thousand shares at a time, because that's just kind of what I was doing back then. Instead, I went down to 200 shares, because I was like, if this thing drops on me, or if somebody, gets into my computer, I don't want to have any sort of risk like that. So one of the considerations is, if you're trading remotely and you see that your bandwidth is bad or shoddy, you just don't feel comfortable, you can always scale down. For me, it's kind of like a pat on the back where I'm like, I've traded from here, 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 and here. But I didn't trade the same in all those locations. I tailored how I was trading to fit what I was given from those different markets. And for me, Southeast Asia was probably the toughest for connectivity issues for me personally.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It just goes back to risk management, period. When you're, pretty sure about a trade, then you're willing to kind of go to your max, your personal max, whatever. When you're not as sure, but you don't want to miss the opportunity, maybe in case it works, you might scale back the position size. So, it's a different way to look at it. You're talking about an internet connection, but I think that makes total sense. Never know what's going to happen.
All right, number 3 from Thomasy. Number 2, I think we kind of went through some of those challenges. Number 3 is one asset class easier than another to trade abroad? And I found it interesting. I know when you were here in Irvine, it was, equities, futures. That was predominantly what you were looking at. And of course, that lines up with core strategy. Now you're doing options. Is there a specific reason that options are now the soup du jour for you? Is it easier for you over there?
I would probably say it's easier in the sense that I've got to be present at the beginning of the trading day and at the end, and in the middle of the day I can go, for a run on the beach or play some soccer or whatever. But in terms of actually, trading it, it's not to me any better or worse. I really don't find that big of a difference here at all in the trading. I suppose if you are into currencies and you want to trade the European session, it's going to be easier for you from a time perspective because it's at 8, 9 in the morning here, as opposed to, midnight, 2 in the morning or whatever in the US. Of course, this is just depending on where you're at in the world. So I don't really trade Forex, so I don't have, I've traded Forex, but I don't really have good, solid experience on that to give you. But as far as futures and options, personally, I don't notice a difference at all. I think it's easier because I'm not a morning person.
Yeah, it's funny because the picture I had on my wall behind me, which is no longer there, was a map of the world. And what I did is I'm actually going to do it for the viewers out at home right now, so bear with me as I swap things out. The beauty of doing things live on the show. So let me see if I can paste this up here. Part of it is the time zone factor, and I agree with Kayla. I think that's a big factor, especially for me. I really like sleeping, and I'm not a morning person. Anybody who knows me they'll tell you. So what I did is I put up a map right here, and here's a map of the world, and this is to each their own, right? But what I found for me personally, and I'm gonna go draw I got my magic marker over here, and I know you can't see this, Kayla, but I put up a map of the world with time zones. Everything over here on the left-hand side of the Atlantic Ocean is a horrible time zone in my opinion. Right? If you look at where Kayla's at, so right now she's here where I'm circling, she's in Spain. That is what, you're 8 hours ahead of us, right?
Right now I'm 8 hours ahead.
Yeah.
On Sunday I'll be 9 hours ahead because of daylight savings. They switched over 2 weeks earlier, or no, the US switched over 2 weeks earlier. Their daylight savings starts on Sunday. So for these 2 weeks it's been 8 hours, but normally it's 9.
So what that means is in that red circle, that opens at about 2 p.m. my time. So you're 2 p.m. their time. So you trade in the US markets, you trade in those opens, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm okay with that. Like you say, wake up at noon, stroll out. One of my favorite spots, as I mentioned, is down here in Southeast Asia, right? So Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. Those are great places. I wouldn't mind living there. Gotta love the connections. Having connection issues. But that is almost 24 hours or 12 hours difference. So basically, you're looking at the wee hours of the morning over here. I noticed that also Brazil isn't too bad. Like Brazil would be opening right around 11 o'clock noon. But come on, California, I got to be at 6:30, equity markets open. Hawaii's beautiful, but that's like 3 in the morning. Forget it. So, if trading around the world is your thing, the United States is like almost out unless you're trading Forex, cryptos, or futures in the after-hour session. So get rid of all that. You've got this sweet spot right in here, in my opinion, which is going to take, you could go as far as Iran. Kayla, you want to go work in Iran and trade from the Iranian markets?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll think about it. We'll see.
By the way, I thought it was kind of funny. You guys all know the Suez Canal. I don't know if you guys saw my post today, but I was kind of joking around, but it was humorous. Did you see the news about the that boat that... No, you didn't see it?
No.
Okay, so the Suez Canal, it's probably 300 meters wide. It's pretty wide. A 400-meter long boat. It's one of the largest cargo ships in the world. Somehow it was going down the canal and then spun sideways. So it's stuck. It's stuck. It's blocking like the world's busiest canal on the face of the planet with hundreds of ships on both ends of the Suez. And I said, I'm just waiting for some politician to point the finger at it and call it a terrorist attack because it's costing billions of dollars right now and they can't get this boat out. Anyway, hope you guys like my artwork there outlining the prime time zones. This is it. If you want to go live in Algeria or Chad or Angola, those are great time zones to be trading. Probably have to worry about your internet connections in those spots, though.
Yeah.
All right, Kayla, so any other footnotes here? I know that, or at least, I don't know, but my assumption would be that when you first started doing this and you were looking at markets in 2010, of course, you were probably like 5 years old back then, that you weren't aspiring to be a trader or didn't think that this would be your career path. Now it seems like you're fully entrenched in it. This is what you do. You develop great content. Kayla and I have been working a lot on content development. Any other thing that you want to throw in here from the perspective of the lifestyle of a trader or trading remotely?
Well, I would say for the lifestyle of a trader, you're right. I wasn't 5 years old in 2010, but a little bit younger. And, but when I started out getting into college, I was not thinking of trading wasn't even kind of an option for me. Just wouldn't have even considered it. And, now, in the thick of it and trading pretty much every day and having done this for so many years, I kind of can't imagine having to have, not having control over my schedule, not having the ability to travel whenever I want to or go whenever I want to. And of course, I have things I've got to show up for and whatnot in life, but I have a lot of freedom with it. So even if I were to switch career paths at this point in my life, not going to happen. But even if I was going to switch career paths, it couldn't be something where I was responsible to somebody else determining my schedule and all those things, because I've just grown so accustomed to the freedom that it's given me. So that doesn't convince you to become a trader. I don't know.
It's funny. I can tell, and I know that the audience many of them right now are probably feeling rather envious, and I'm really happy for what you've accomplished. It's a pretty amazing feat. And I think one of the other things that goes without saying, it's just one thing to be a trader professionally and travel around the world, but also you're very young, and then you have this other attribute which is somewhat rare in the industry, which is that you are female. So you're a young female trader traveling around the world. So I think a lot of us, I just saw some comments earlier from some of the group talking about how, I think it was Tom talking about how he wants his daughters to, get him into trading, man. This is I think probably one of the best lifestyles you can afford, especially when you're young, right? Travel the world while you can.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think about, I was really nervous. In a way, I wasn't nervous at all to get into trading as a young female, because I'm behind a screen. So I'm not, whoever my colleagues are, they can't even see me, if you will, so I could put on a username that's masculine or something, I don't know, and people could think I was a dude, So that was never something that crossed my mind. When I got into teaching, that was definitely something that crossed my mind. Like, are people going to give me the right? Are they going to respect me as a female, or as a younger trader?
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that definitely crossed my mind. And I will say, and kudos to Online Trading Academy and to, I guess, maybe the culture that they've built, or I've never had anybody treat me differently as a female trader, and I've never, nor for being young. So that's been pretty cool. And maybe that's not the same for everybody in this world, but I've never experienced anything like that. I will say, just kind of on the topic of females in trading and investing, that this is, I think that there's some industries where women might feel that they wouldn't be accepted into that industry, or there's, some sort of a stereotype that they don't fit as a part of that industry. And with trading, while a lot more men do it than women, the men are really accepting of women. In fact, most of my mentors have been men. So I think it's something kind of in our heads a little bit more,
mm-hmm.
or just the fact that more men trade than women trade is something that maybe we have in our heads with it. But I think that in terms of trading, women have every bit of getting in there and getting in the game as men do. Yeah.
It's funny. I did a show a couple of weeks ago where it's basically talking about why women are better traders than men. And a lot of it has to do with putting their ego aside. I see that comment here from Jerry as well. He says females don't have that massive ego like guys do. That's obviously generalization. I know a lot of great trader guys who have zero ego in the game. Usually they're the ones that have been doing it a long time, have gotten their butt kicked by the market. But in general, yeah, I would agree with you. I think that most women don't have that preconceived notion like they have to win. Or I think one of the big problems that I had early on, I think a lot of guys do, is the willingness to admit that we're wrong, right? The ability to go, oh, I screwed up on that one, I'm just going to get out and move on. Instead, we want to fight it and try to double down and, revenge trade. And all of a sudden, we dug this massive hole for ourselves. Whereas somebody who doesn't have that ego is like, okay, I'm out. Move on to the next one. Big deal. And I think you got an advantage there. You're going to be doing some more things on that vein, are you not? I know that I heard some talks about you doing more for kind of women in trading and women in the markets.
Yeah, so, OTA, Online Trading Academy, is looking to sponsor a women in trading and investing group. And so that's super exciting. And we have plans for kind of a space for women in terms of articles and whatnot, but also potentially a podcast. So nothing's super official yet, but you can stay tuned on that. And I'm really excited about that, kind of to build that community and encourage other women to get in the game.
Nice. The recurring question that's come in here, feel free to answer them however you like. It's coming from multiple, which is, how young is Kayla, and how long did it take for you to become consistently profitable? Or how long did it take you to find your stride, I guess?
Yeah, so I'm 30. I turned 30. I do have some gray hairs.
It's all downhill now, Kayla. It's all downhill.
I know. People say that the 30s are better than their 20s, and my 20s were great. So I'm hoping. But so I'm 30. My first class that I took was when I was 21. So I started really when I was 22, 23-ish. And I traded for 6 months in sim before I went live. And I know there's a lot of differing opinions on, some people are like, don't do sim at all, go straight to live because you need to, feel the burn of the loss to get in there. I'm somebody who needs to trade sim in order to get to the live point. I won't be able to just go for it. Having said that, I'm also impulsive. I mean, I travel all the time, so I feel like some of that's being impulsive. So I've done that before, and it usually just doesn't work in my favor. So even though that if I start on something new, my time in sim is a lot shorter than what it was when I first started, I still pretty much always start out in sim when I get going. So I was in 6 months in sim. I've gone back to sim plenty of times when I've experienced slumps, which I know that everybody does. I think that a lot of people think when you say you're a professional trader, you never lose. You must never lose and never experience the loss. Excuse me, or slumps and things like that. So I'll still go back to sim. I do have pride and an ego. So we all do.
Yep.
So it definitely is a shot to your pride when you do that. But I think as soon as you kill your pride, that's when learning can begin, and when you can actually say, all right, let's take my pride out of it. What's really happening in the markets, or what really went wrong, or what can I change? Like, what can I change here? So I'm 30. Been trading for 8 years now.
What would you say? Let's go. What on that vein, and I'll try to wrap it up here because I know you've got a beach to go get to. Oh no, it's time for siesta. Like you're ready to go out and go party tonight, huh?
If it wasn't, we're in a pandemic, then maybe that would be the case.
Oh, that's right. You have to wear a mask and gloves when you eat your paella and go flamenco dancing.
Yes, like that.
Just for viewers out there, I know that you were very fortunate to be in the environment that you were when you were learning. Not only were you under having some nice content to follow with Online Trading Academy, but you had so many instructors willing to help you out. What would you say was your biggest challenge in your development as a trader? Because we all have something that just it was a really difficult obstacle to get over or get past. What was yours?
So one is I'm not a morning person. So learning this in California, that was a big one. Now, I think I'll go back to kind of some of the things that you said about men in trading and women in trading. And when you said, men have an ego when they trade, and women are a little more, they're willing to like accept the loss and look for feedback, if you will. So I also think there's something to learn. We have strengths and weaknesses, and I think that there's something that we can learn from each other. I am not a natural risk taker, and maybe that comes from being a woman, but I know some women that are go-getters. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not a natural risk taker, and you have to be in trading. So there's this side of being a major risk taker, like a lion, go get it. And then there's this other side that's like, just like, I don't know if I even want to put my toes in the water. And and you're really great at managing your risk, but almost too much so that you never dive in.
Right.
So if I had to say who makes the better trader on that spectrum, I would say probably the person that's willing to go for it. I probably say that because I'm not that person, and I've had to grow into that, of just saying, don't think in terms of trading not to lose, but trading to win. Don't think so much on, oh, what if this happens and what if this happens. That's a good thing to think about what could happen, and how, don't want to be, flippant with your decisions either. But sometimes it's just, in a game of probabilities, it's going for it and pushing the button. So that's probably been my biggest obstacle.
Yeah, and there's no problem with you're right. I see that too. I see the people that are. It's funny in classes on my Trading Academy. When you're doing the core strategy, it used to be. I know there's issues right now, but you were trading live with real money, and there were still people. And it's OTA's money. It's not yours, so you don't have to worry about losses. OTA eats those, and their reason is they want you to get some skin in the game and see what it's like to actually execute trades. And I'd have be teaching classes, and there are some people who are afraid to go live, even with somebody else's money, trading just a few shares because they were so risk averse. I'm like, no, you need to, let's get past that. You got to move forward here. But then if you have those people who are super aggressive, I don't think that there's a problem being overly aggressive as long as you have risk management. You can take the biggest shots in the world, go for it, but make sure you have your stop losses in place. And then I think that those will probably make the better traders.
Absolutely. Yeah. It goes without saying that risk is, you got to manage your risk, and you got to think in that. And the person that is too far on the spectrum of being a risk taker, they get burned. Yeah, they might do. It's almost worse for them if they do great at the beginning, because then they're going to get burned even worse probably. Yeah, I mean, managing your risk is crucial. It's critical. We can sustain small losses mentally. Your account can sustain small losses for the most part. Can't do the big losses. Mm-hmm. Cannot do the big losses.
Cannot do them. Awesome.
Nope.
Hey, I don't want to keep you longer. I know I mentioned we do it 30 minutes. We're already bordering on 40. So I appreciate you coming on, even though I know it's evening time for you over there. Hopefully we can get you on more frequently. I know we didn't do any analysis of markets, guys. Some people are asking for it. We'll get to that next time, so don't worry about that. This was really more about trading as someone who's like a remote trader, what that experience is like. Kayla's got a ton of experience there, traveling around the world. I've got a picture here, and a lot of those icons, those geographical landmarks that you see on the screen, those are places that she's traded. Of course, I see Christ the Redeemer down in Brazil. You probably want to go trade from there soon. I see the Kremlin in Moscow. Those are all on the list. But she's got Italy on there, England. You can see Paris. She's traveled all over the place. And I think a lot of what she said today kind of opens our eyes a little bit, regardless of what age bracket you're in, saying, I would love to travel and trade too. Now, if it's a permanent decision to travel and trade, awesome. There's probably a little bit more prep that you're going to need to do. But someone who's going to be, traveling around just for fun and experiencing it, do it. I think now is the time to do that. And Kayla, you're living proof that this is a viable thing to do.
Yeah. Well, if I can get you to live your dreams, if your dreams are to travel as well.
Absolutely.
Trading's a great avenue for that. Thank you for having me on, Merlin.
My pleasure. I can't wait to do. I want to be doing some podcasts with you. So let me know when you start the podcast thing or how your women in trading thing goes. We're happy to bring you on here and talk more about it in the future.
Sounds great.
All right, Kayla. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Guys, that was Kayla Christine coming to us from Barcelona today, talking about the life of a global trader. And there's obviously different things that we want out of life, and Kayla is very interesting in the way that she's pursuing it, just going for it, knowing that she's got a skill set under her belt with trading, that she can do it from anywhere around the world. So to me, I love it. I love the fact that she's doing it. I love the fact she's coming on the show and willing to talk about it, and then her doing potentially some podcasts or articles about women in trading is going to be great as well. We have a few that are in the organization for Online Trading Academy that have just gone above and beyond with what they have done in the trading world, and would love to talk about them and share their stories as well. I haven't gotten the point. Is she traveling for OTA? No. Jay Homer, she has not traveling for OTA. She teaches for OTA. She builds content, but she is trading on her own. She's living in Barcelona, but she travels all around the world. And the point was, that's, I think, one thing that most of us would love to have, is that ability to just see and do as much as possible The sad reality is, especially with COVID now, many of us are on lockdown, working from home, not even going to an office. But before COVID, we'd go to an office and just sit there and do our 9 to 5 and call it a day. Groundhog Day, if you will, bit of monotonous. Whereas those who are in the global trading world experience quite a bit more. Adam says, I'm 22 now, went OTA in 2017. Awesome. Your grandfather did a great thing by doing that. That's amazing. Cool. I hope you succeed at it, Adam. I really do. And when you do, let me know where you're traveling around the world to get you on the show to talk about it. As far as VPNs go, guys, I don't know all the different VPNs out there. The one that I've used in the past is NordVPN, but there's tons and tons of different VPN companies out there. I think the challenge with VPNs, again, is some of them are not exactly private. Some might be selling your data. Probably one of the best things to do is just to go out online and do some research and find out which one might work best for you. I know there's one that was called like Surfshark or something like that. NordVPN is the one that I've used in the past, and they work fine for me. All right, let me go to, I actually didn't do anything on the economic calendar because my computer was down. I had no time to do that. So let me bring up, what did I want to bring up? I want to bring up your economic calendar for tomorrow just so we can have that in front of me, and I will read you what's going on for tomorrow. Today we had obviously a ton of manufacturing data. A lot of it came out better than expected, which would be relatively good for those currencies. Tomorrow, if we look at what's happening, Thursday, there's some big stuff on Thursday. You do have the Swiss National Bank coming out. Now, the LIBOR rate, Swiss National Bank, is really at negative 0.75. So basically, you're losing almost 1% interest by keeping your money there. That's going to stay the same. No big change there. We do have a ton of FOMC members speaking for the U.S. The big piece of news for tomorrow will be GDP numbers. Now, that's coming out, I believe that's 1 hour before market opens. Right now, they're expecting it to be at 4.1%. Now, remember, we had these wild swings up and down in GDP numbers. Now we're starting to get back down to a normal level. The 4.1 is still a little bit high compared to historical numbers, but at least we're getting back down towards our norms. Norms is, if you look at the GDP chart, which I'll show you here, here's GDP going back a few years. 4% is going to be very high. Normally, we were down around 0.4, right? So basically staying under 1% is where we normally are. So we've got a ways to go until we get down below those levels. That's pretty much it for your economic announcement for tomorrow. Earnings-wise, there isn't really anything to speak of, so we'll leave it at that. Now, I did see some stuff in here. Katut used ExpressVPN. Good experience or bad? I don't know all of them, but I'm glad to see you guys giving some feedback. Yes, Kayla teaches core strategy at OTA, and she is helping build a lot of the on-demand content, which has been great. She's actually one of the on-camera talent for. I think she's in for some future stuff and some of the options courses as well. So market not done crashing? Well, let's take a look. We'll do a little bit of market stuff here as we wrap up. Looking at what our markets did today, I wouldn't say it's crashing. I mean, here's the S&P 500 today, so it was down, but it wasn't anything that bad. What's noteworthy for me, at least from the current level perspective, if you look at this S&P 500, you do have some levels that we achieved last week, right? That if we break those, then I think you probably have the potential for some more downside move here and getting, do we see S&P at 3,700? Yeah, that could potentially happen. However, we're still in an uptrend, right? We do see we're making a series of higher highs and higher lows. So a pullback here would be no big deal. We've simply made a new high, which we established last week, and now it's at the tipping point, if you will. Not for an overall market crash, but for a bigger pullback. Now, if we got down below here, that is be a major one. If we got, let's say, 3,700 on the S&P, then I think all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, here we go. We could be seeing much more downside movement. But I think, as Jerry says, trend is up, right? I can zoom out, go any time frame you want. That time frame is up here on that S&P 500. So right now, I'm not worried about it. Let's look at other indexes, though. NASDAQ today. Still, even though you have this big down day for the NASDAQ today, really not that big of a deal, right? You're actually coming into a short-term demand zone. So this doesn't really feel like anything bad yet. Russell 2000, okay, it's still continuing down. Now it's up a little bit in the after-hour session, but it is certainly dropping very quickly. that to me is just a rotation of assets, going from small caps to the big ones that might benefit the most when we kind of get all the country vaccinated and get our feet back on our ground and hopefully get the economy back to normal. So I think you're seeing that movement out of small caps, which is no big deal, into S&P and NASDAQ, which I think is just pretty much normal. What else do we have? You had gold out there today with a small update, nothing really noteworthy from a technical perspective. You had Bitcoin, which that was a wild swing today. It's still very choppy. You can see you've got these long topping tails, but technically from the picture here, still in an uptrend, still looking good. Now, the major one today was crude oil. Now, of course, we've had a few days in a row of crude oil selling off aggressively. Today, all of a sudden, because of that tanker locking up the Suez, that I think had a pretty big spike on oil prices because it's going to disrupt a lot of the oil flow. That's, there you go. All right, what did I miss? I missed something. And Brandon said something about train wreck tomorrow. Oh, yeah. No, for Jay Homer, if you don't know Brandon Wendell, he is a train wreck, and he's proud of it. Now, we love Brandon. He's going to be on the program tomorrow, so that's what he was referring to. I was giving him a hard time because he was talking about our guest today, and I said, hey, you got your time tomorrow, buddy. So Brandon Wendell will be our guest tomorrow talking overall markets. If there's something you want specifically for Brandon and I to go over, you can. Did I update? You gotta love when I just don't even have time to update the dates on the show. If you have something that you want Brandon and I to go over on tomorrow's show, let us know. Send it on in. Go to TraderMerlin@gmail.com. That's the easiest way for you to send in comments and questions. Of course, I always love when you guys put comments and questions down below the video on the YouTube page. That's usually where I go to first to figure out what questions to put on the show and get covered on tomorrow's show. So, Jerry says 3,800 level for buy the friggin' dip, huh? I would personally, I don't think 38. I would go lower than that. I think 37 is where you're saying I'm buying it, but that's also like you would argue just deep in the zone, right? You're getting way down there. If this uptrend's going to continue, then yeah, Jerry, you're probably right. 38 would be a better point. But is that zone worth it? Is there really a lot of strength there? Not so much. Bottom line is we'll probably have a little bit more of a pullback, and then we'll see this thing continue to move up. All right. I think that's it. I'm keeping under an hour shows, guys. That's it. That's my method, modus operandi, is keep things under 1 hour today. All right, hope you enjoyed the Life of Global Trader with Kayla Christine. She's amazing. I'm hopefully get more talk time with her, and we'll talk maybe about some of the trades that she's in, the strategies that she uses. We'll do market analysis, but this was more of a get to know, and I thought it would be interesting because we've had questions about trading remotely. What are some of the considerations? Again, if you are thinking about traveling, it's not really about the computer that you have per se. Certainly you want to have, if you're trading with a laptop, have something that has enough power to run the software that you need. Like TradeStation is generally a resource intensive one. If you're using a web-based platform, those aren't going to be using much CPU. They're using more RAM. So you got to figure out how to tailor that. The other side of it is the VPN. So you want to make sure you protect your data and also let your brokerage firm not lock you out because you're trading internationally. That's a big factor for VPNs. The other part here is, and this is one question that came up, was does the trading laptop make you a better trader? It doesn't. It's the strategy, it's the tactics, it's the rules that you have in place. And I like that Caleb made that discussion point today. It's not necessarily your laptop or equipment, it's how you use it. It's the strategies that you implement, your risk management. That's what makes you a successful trader. These devices that we have, my iPhone or laptop or whatever, are just devices to connect to your brokerage firm. So I could trade effectively anywhere in the world with an iPhone, right? As long as I can do my analysis and find those levels, those zones that I like, and an area that I think is, for me personally, a high probability setup, an area where it should bounce or come down off of, then I'll make that trade regardless of whether I have a home PC with 15 monitors or just my iPhone. To me, that's important. Alan says, ask question at the worst time. What did you have here? I feel like GBTC is getting increasingly less attractive as an alternative to Bitcoin. It's because new exchanges are popping up. Where do you see this going? I see a lot of competition coming into the space for Bitcoin. Now, Grayscale is doing whatever they can to kind of entrench themselves. I still don't think that GBTC is a bad thing as a proxy for Bitcoin. I mean, I don't see why that would be an issue. It certainly has the liquidity, but there'll be more entrants into that marketplace here soon. I will say probably in the next month or two, I'll probably do a special show with tables talking about Bitcoin versus all the different alternatives and ways that you can trade it. But Grayscale right now has the lead. They charge a bit of fees for the GBTC, which is just par for the course. You're the only one in town that people can do to be a proxy for Bitcoin. you're going to pay a premium for that until other competition comes in. So there you go, Alan. You came in late, but I still got to your question. Okay. Jay Homer, so you know that they say about equipment. Yep. I'm not even going to go there, Jay Homer. Not even going to go there. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, click that like button. Feel free to share with anybody. I think that Kayla is a pretty impressive individual who, if you've got young kids, and 30 and under, it might be something inspiring for them as well. And I was very fortunate to have a mentor early on and get pushed into the trading world at 25. I was very lucky. I think Kayla got started even earlier than me at 21 years old, and now she's in a position at 30 where she can pretty much do anything she wants from anywhere in the world, and that is a position of power that I think we all wish that we were in at a much younger age. All right, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys had a fantastic show. Hope you have a great trading day. We'll keep our eyes out there tomorrow. It'll be a bunch more analysis. As you know, Brandon Wendell will be doing a lot of charting tomorrow, so we'll look at whatever markets you want. If you have a specific one, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. Let me know what you want us to look at tomorrow, and we'll get to it. That said, have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.